Back in A levels, I ended up failing my mocks, and I don't just mean fail as in like I got 40% on a test. I quite literally got 0 out of 75 on my maths paper. I've never really told this story to anyone except some of my close friends, so brace yourself for this story. I had my mocks in April, and basically I just couldn't be asked to study anything. Like, I was so lazy, I just procrastinated so much that when the time of the actual exam came, I was like, you know what, it's fine, I'll study for the actual A levels, mocks are nothing. So I went to the maths exam. I opened the first page. I was like, let me, try it, because I didn't even start the content of that paper. So I just tried whatever I could. I flipped the pages and I saw that I could not do anything. So I just closed the paper, put my head down, went to sleep. Woke up like 90 minutes later, like from the invigilator trying to collect my paper. And then I got my results back 2 weeks later, 0 out of 75. And this is not just for like maths. I got pretty bad marks in physics and chemistry as well, because I was just in the mindset that it's only mocks. Then one by one, all of my teachers, so maths teacher, my chemistry teacher, and my physics teacher, they all came to me and they said, we want to talk. The worst one was my maths teacher. Basically, she called me outside and she's like, yo, I know that you can, you have potential, because I ended up getting an A last year. And from that, she's like, what the hell just happened? Like, how can someone who got an A last year end up getting a 0 out of 75? So she's like, I want to talk to your dad. Like, what's going on here? And that's when I started shitting myself a bit, because I was like, because my parents thought that I was actually studying and then I should be getting good grades, and I never planned on telling them my mock grades. And when she said, I want to talk to your parents, I was like, God damn it. So that happened, and she's like, I want to talk to your dad. So she's like, give me his number. Because, okay, so two things. She wanted his email, and she wanted his number. The email she already had in the system. But what I did, because I'm such a smartass, what I did is that I went to my dad's email and I put a setting or a filter that basically anytime she sent an email, it would go straight to archive, and then I would go to archive and delete it. Second thing, she asked for my number, for my dad's number, and there was no way I was running away from that. So what I ended up doing is probably the dumbest mistake I've ever done, is I took my phone, I changed my friend's contact to my dad's name, and I basically showed her like, yo, this is my dad, and this is his contact. So in the next 2 weeks, my friend received 7 missed calls from the teacher itself, and he was just like, I'm not going to pick up any because I want to save you here. So that was probably one of the scariest moments, because if she got a hold of my dad, I would have been beyond finished. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is so that you learn from my mistakes and don't make the same ones, because trust me, when you do not want to be put in a position where the teacher is asking you to contact your dad, because if that happens, you're screwed. Because I don't know how I got away with it. I mean, I didn't, because the physics teacher, somehow I forgot to filter her out. Rookie mistake, I know. She ended up emailing my dad, look, your son didn't get good marks in the mocks. We're taking a retest for everyone. Come and let him give it. That's when my dad found out. Thank God he didn't find out about the maths, but he's probably watching this video and I'm going to get a phone call after this. But so he did, he's like, yo, I thought you were studying. What's going on? So I got a bit of a, lecture over there. But apart from that, what I'm trying to tell you is, don't make these same mistakes as me. Like, mocks are important whether you think they are or not. And I suffered in my actual A levels because I didn't, give attention to mocks at all. So trust me when I say this, mocks are definitely important. You should treat them in a much better way, and don't just half-ass them, study for them like they're the actual exam. So in this video, I'll go into detail why mocks are so important, and also tell you 3 ways in which you can absolutely ace your mocks, learning from my mistakes. So let's move on to why mocks are important. Most students, including me, at one point thought that mocks are just, practice exams, that they're nothing more. But if you use them properly, they can be much more than just quote-unquote practice exams. I don't know if you'll believe me when I say this, but mocks are one of the most important tools that you have throughout your A-level journey, and here's why. They quite literally help you prepare for the real exams, because they have a similar question style, they have similar grading, so you're essentially doing your A-level paper just a few months early to test yourself. In mocks, you realize what topics you're weak at, so you can focus on them more. But on the positive side, you also understand what topics are your strength and what topics you're actually good at, so that you can even that out. The ones you're struggling at most, you can give more attention to them, and the ones you're doing pretty well in, you can balance them equally. That is also a big benefit of mocks, because then you realize which topics are your weaknesses and which topics are your strengths. Okay, now that I hope we've realized why mocks are actually important and that you guys will take them seriously, let's move on to how you can actually ace your A-level mocks. Step number 1. Treat mocks seriously. With anything that you do, mindset is extremely important. So if you're going into mocks thinking that, oh, these are just practice exams and they don't really count towards my grade, that is your first mistake, because the moment you make that mindset that mocks aren't important, you're probably not going to give your 100% in them at all. The whole point of mocks is that they test you, that you give your all and go and give the exam, so that when you get it back, you realize what topics are your weakness and strengths. So step number 1 will always be to get in the right mindset. Tell yourselves mocks are important, and then fully lock in, because you'll only see the true benefits of your mocks if you fully lock in. If you give your 100% to it, that's the only time you're actually going to end up seeing benefits to your mock exams. Step number 2, start preparation a month before. Analyze your subject, the topics that are coming for the exam, and learn how to study each of those subjects. So for example, when it comes to chemistry, you're probably going to be using active recall and spaced repetition, whereas you're not going to be using spaced repetition for maths. So learn which techniques you're going to use for which subject, and then from there, start studying for the exams. Now listen, the goal isn't to study 8 hours per day, because that's just, if anything, that's irresponsible. The goal is going to be to study 2 to 3 hours every single day for 30 days. When it comes closer to the marks, you can up that to maybe 5 or 6, but not more than that, because at that point you're just self-sabotaging. Trust me when I say this, 2 to 3 hours of consistency every single day is much better than studying 8 hours a day, because when you study 8 hours a day, something called retention comes into work, which I'll explain to you now. Let's say you're studying 8 hours a day. Let's say you're studying 8 hours a day. So for the first few hours, let's say 3 to 4 hours, your energy is going to be high, your retention is going to be high. So you're going to be absorbing the information that you're actually studying. But when it gets to the later hours, such as 6 to 8 hours, then your motivation goes down. Then you just start getting exhausted, and your retention also drops at the same time. So essentially, in hours 5 to 8, you're studying. Technically you are studying, but you're not retaining any of that information, so you're not actually learning anything. That's why it's useless. You only need 2 to 3 hours, maximum 4 per day, to actually get a good study session in, where you're actually going to learn and you're going to make progress. Because if you study more than that, your retention is going to go down, you're going to be exhausted, and you're not going to end up learning or processing any of the information that you've just seen on your screen. Step number 3, create a system. I used to just study randomly whenever I wanted to. There was no structure, no planning, no scheduling, no nothing. Just pick up a book and start studying. And that is so wrong. If I were to go back and do my mocks again, I would do one single thing, and that's called creating a calendar. I would go sit on every single Sunday and create the calendar for the next week, so that I know exactly what I'm going to be studying at what time for how long. Target what you're going to be studying for every single week. So for example, on Wednesday, your schedule could look something like complete chapter 8C, vectors in 3D, and then attempt a chemistry unit 4 paper. I don't know about you, but what worked for me is that I studied one single subject a day. So I wouldn't study maths and chemistry together, as in the example that I just gave you. I would just do maths, literally just maths, and then the next day I would do physics, and then the next day I would do chemistry. Or I would do something like maths and physics together, because both of them are calculation subjects, and chemistry on another day, because chemistry is a theoretical subject. So that's how I would work. But personally, I would just stick to one subject a day, because you don't want to overload your brain with different subjects and just make it, a bit overwhelmed with whatever it's studying. So I would keep it at one single subject every single day. Now let's talk about the aftermath. So once you receive your mock results, what are you going to do after that? Once you get your paper back, you're going to start reflecting on it. And the way you're going to reflect is that you're going to open up the paper. I don't know if you're going to have the marking scheme at this point. I really hope you do. So you're going to open up your paper, and you're going to see what went wrong and what went well. So the way I would do this is I would take a note, I would take a red pen. I would circle the questions I got wrong, what went wrong. I would basically make notes on what went well, what went wrong. And then on a piece of paper, I would also note down the topics that I got questions right in and the topic that I got questions wrong in. That way I know exactly what topic I messed up in and what topic is my strength. From there onwards, till the 8 hour exams actually come around, I know my weaknesses, I know my strengths, so I'm going to focus and balance that equally. For topics that need more work, you're going to go back to the content and you're going to start revising immediately. You're going to start seeing going more in depth. You're going to ask ChatGPT to help you out. You're going to watch YouTube videos. Whatever it takes for you to understand the topic, you're going to do it. And for the topics that you're getting, that is your strength basically, you're going to just keep on doing past paper questions for that. Just make sure you're not forgetting any of the content in that. So maybe revise it maybe once a week, that's it. But for that, you're just going to do as many past paper questions as you can, make it stronger so that you basically have guaranteed marks in the exam itself. Do this for each subject until there's a month left towards the exam, and once there's a month left towards the actual A levels, then you just start grinding yearly past papers. So do as many as you can per day, because at that point only past papers are going to be able to save you if you've not been studying. Past papers are going to be your key, especially in the last months when A levels actually start. So do as many as you can, do different variants, do different time zones, do whatever you can. Any past paper question or any question that you can find. I don't care if you go back to 2004. I didn't go back. I went back to, I think, 2017. But like, as many questions as you can do them, because that's the only thing that's going to help you. As I said, mocks are not something that you should be scared of. They're not something that you should overlook or like, just say these are just practice exams, because mocks can genuinely help you when it comes to your actual A levels by telling you what your weaknesses are and what your strengths are. That is it for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Please go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and check out this video on where I moved from Dubai to Canada, leaving my family behind completely, which is kind of sad. And also check out this video on how I applied to 9 Canadian universities, and I got into every single one of them. I go through the whole process month by month from September 2024 to September 2025, so go ahead and check that out as well. Take care, and I'll see you with another video very soon. Take care and goodbye.